success is relative. Success is relative. Like many things are, you can almost say that success is like a measurement of distance, although it's a bit more abstract than that. But you think about, okay, you ask a comparative question: how far is it to Detroit? Okay, or how far is it to Sacramento? Right? And see, the key to answering that question is to first answer, where are you now? Okay? And in the same way, that's the key to really defining success. And whether something has been successful over a certain period of time, what you have to ask, the place that you have to start with defining success is to ask that question, where are you now? Because what you can fall into is you can set up these objective targets, okay? And you can look at these, you can set these objective targets and you say, I want to be doing that. And I want, in a team sense, I want us to be like that, okay? And what you can fail to do, when you are asking that question, when you fail to first answer the question of where are you now, is that you can really end up discounting some success that you've actually had. By virtue of the fact that what you've done doesn't, maybe it doesn't entirely nail that objective target that you set. It doesn't hit that target. You say, oh man, I failed, right? But what you don't take into account, you didn't ask that where are we now question first, which would have let you know that you actually had succeeded in just a tremendous way, right? And so you have to understand that question. And see, when you understand the concept that success is relative, there's a few things that will happen along with that. One thing is that you will come to realize how substantial little gains can be. But what you'll find is that I often will observe ordinary people doing, ordinary things. And I'll be just incredibly impressed by that. Because I realize that in many ways what they have done, or what the manner in which they have figured out how to do this, even though, it's not promoted as being anything very noteworthy, I come to realize that in terms of just like, say, absolute difficulty, and, the distance they've gone, just the measurement of what they have accomplished, even though, again, it's not promoted as being anything all that noteworthy. In terms of difficulty, in terms of the substance of what they've done, is equivalent to something very noteworthy. Okay, and it signals that if they can do that, then they could probably do a great number of noteworthy things also. And so what you'll find is that, one of these things will happen when you realize that success is relative, is that you will understand the magnitude of, you will understand the magnitude of little gains, okay? You will also be less likely to take for granted the place where you are now. Because along with this question of where are we now, you would also tend to, along that train of thought, you would also tend to kind of put along with that the question of where were we then? Where were we before? Okay? And you might realize, hey, the distance that we have come is really quite significant. We may not have hit this like objective target, right? But the distance that we've come is quite significant. And I want you to think about this in terms of size for just a moment, okay? Let's say, you have two organizations here, okay? And, and one of these organizations grew to the size of being, one of these organizations grew to the size of being 4,000, okay? The other organization reached a size of being 212, okay? Now, some would look at the organization that's 4,000 in size and say, oh, they've arrived. They've arrived. The 212 size is not really anything worth, celebrating. And this is where we get into a key concept as well, guys. This is where we get into this key concept of something that is worth celebrating versus something that's not. And what you have to look at in this case is, since my example is purely hypothetical, I'll just add some hypothetical values here too. The organization which grew to the size of being 212 was only 200 in size before. Okay, so 12 people were added, right? And then, now what we found with organization 4,000 size, it used to be 3,999, okay? One person added. And so, and see, this is why sometimes I will look at a particular situation and I will look at a particular organization and I'll say, this is better, okay? Why? Well, because, you guys, it's not about, here's a real key concept. It's not about arrival at a particular place. It's about having momentum, okay? And once you understand this concept, there's a few things that are going to click. One thing that you're going to figure out is that you're going to have a lot more occasions to celebrate than you thought. Because every time you keep moving this direction, you are substantiating that you have momentum, okay? And another thing that's going to happen maybe a little bit, if you happen to be just a real freak out kind of, you got now or never syndrome, okay? Maybe if you're there, maybe this will realize as you do these checks, as you do these measurements, and you confirm, yeah, you know what? It's slow, but we're moving, okay? And what that will confirm is that you have momentum, and that is the thing worth celebrating, guys. Having momentum is the thing worth celebrating. It's not about the destination, because regardless of where you are at on the chart right now, if you have momentum, you will continue to the destination you're headed for and go way past that. Okay. And you're going to realize that you can take your time, and you should. And you should take your time. And you should understand these marks, these measurements you can take along the way that show that you have momentum. See, you might have some people from this 4,000 size organization, right? You might have some people from this 4,000 size who are looking at you on this timeline, on this continuum, okay? And they might be looking at you and you say, they might say, you only got 212, we have 4,000. And you'd be like, I don't care, because I've got momentum, and I don't even, your words don't even mean anything to me, it just doesn't even sound good, right? Because I've got this momentum, but most importantly, I just don't care, because I know that because I have that, however long it takes, I'm going to hit that target, and I'm going to continue well beyond that, because that's not my goal. My goal is not to hit that particular target. My goal is to have this momentum.